Are you serious? Calm down. Get a cup of coffee and sit down a minute. And if you live anywhere near Tampa, Florida, pay close attention to what is being predicted now and documentation coming forward from the Weather Channel for Tampa, Florida. All right, I'm going to give you their information. Here's what they're saying. A new study has been found that the worst case hurricane scenario will eventually play out in Tampa, Florida. And it's not a matter of if, but when. The findings were published Monday this week in a science journal. Nature defines the phenomenon as the gray swan. That's what they're calling it. It plays on the famed black swan theory, which refers to a scientific discovery that's an outliner with an extreme impact. And the discovery makes us believe in hindsight that we should have known about it all along, according to the New York Times. In this case, the study says if and when a massive hurricane hits Tampa Bay, we might not have a full grasp of the devastation it will cause, but we'll know such an event is possible. The Tampa Bay area was number one on the list of America's most vulnerable hurricane cities because of the threat there today, let alone when sea level is higher later in the century, according to the global research. Now, Brian Norcross, the hurricane specialist for the Weather Channel, referring to sea level rise predictions from the different studies of climate change, that Tampa Bay is like a catcher's mitt for a storm surge. It's easy to imagine the north to the northeast moving hurricane pushing Gulf water into the bay, submerging thousands of homes and businesses in surging water. It doesn't matter if the storm surge at the top of Tampa Bay is 15 feet, as it was in the Great Hurricane of 1848, when it was 25 feet high. Some giant storm in the future, for people caught in it, it will be unsurvivable. So there was a hurricane that hit that area, 1848, with the tide at 25 feet high waves. It doesn't even have to be that big, just 15, which is big, and it's over. In other words, Tampa Bay, the way Tampa Bay is constructed, a hurricane like Katrina would do way more damage than it did in New Orleans. It is unbelievable. And so when you take a look at the things, and how overdue is Tampa Bay for this hurricane? Way overdue. Just like how overdue is Oregon, the coast of Washington and Oregon and Northern California, for an earthquake just off the coast there. It's 315 years since the last one they had. And they normally have them there about every 240 years. So it's 75 years overdue. How overdue are we for the San Andreas fault line to give? Overdue. How overdue is the New Madrid fault line since the 1811 and 1812 massive earthquakes that reshaped the Mississippi River? How overdue? It's been 203 years. Overdue. What about the super volcano in Yellowstone National Park? Any time, way overdue. So when you take a look at America, the pitfalls and potential catastrophes and apocalyptic moments, a cataclysmic conclusion could take place here. We don't need to be messing with the cultural structure of our nation and sticking our fist in the face of God. We do not need the stench of our abominations to go any further higher toward the majestic throne on high. We need to understand this is the critical hour. You might say, oh, you're just some crazy preacher. out there with a green shirt on who's trying to keep, who's trying to tell folks that the end of the world is coming. I'm telling you as a prophet preaching the gospel, not me the prophet, but telling you what the prophets of the Bible said. I'm preaching and telling you what the prophets of the Bible are telling you, that this end time scenario is upon us. And when it happens, some of you who survive will look back and say, he tried to warn us. He told us the hour was coming. Jesus, Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, Daniel saw it in visions, Ezekiel saw it in visions, Obadiah, Zechariah, Amos, and Joel, and Hosea prophesied it to us, and John saw it in a revelation that this time was coming. Are you saved? We're running out of time. Give your life to Jesus Christ. So Paul, should we just walk around in fear? Should we crawl in a bunker somewhere? No. Just be aware that time is running out and you want to be ready and not be left behind. Make things right with God and you will not have the spirit of fear. For the Lord has not given you the spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. See, because we know these things are coming, we have power with God, not fear. We understand the moment and we're ready to conquer it in Jesus' name. Are you saved?